Welcome to Vegan Business Talk with Katrina Fox, author of Vegan Ventures, Start and Grow an Ethical Business. Hello and welcome to episode 18 of Vegan Business Talk. I'm Katrina Fox, journalist, media trainer and editor of veganbusinessmedia.com, the multimedia blog providing success tips for vegan business owners and entrepreneurs. In this episode, I interviewed Jennifer Pardoe, owner of Zest plant-based food consulting, the UK's first food consultancy to work exclusively on plant-based products in the raw, vegan and free-from markets. Zest is the UK's go-to agency for plant-based product development, branding, marketing, business plans and scaling. The company works with a diverse range of clientele, from early-stage businesses through to large corporations in both the consumer product and food service sectors. Jennifer launched Zest in 2014 after a wealth of experience in the food and retail sector, starting in 1996, working in startups, small to medium businesses and large corporations all over the world. Originally from Australia, Jennifer's owned 3 cafes in London and won a British Sandwich Association award. Her mission is to create more and better plant-based choices and availability for consumers. Zest is currently designing a vegan pale ale can, a vegan cheese range, a quick-service restaurant concept, working on new product development with an almond milk, helping a plant protein smoothies brand to make sales, and helping brands to break into the UK. In this interview, Jennifer discusses why brands must not only stand out, but be entertaining, and how to go about this. What retailers look for in a brand when considering stocking it, what investors look for in a plant-based food company, and much more. Here's the interview with Jennifer Pardoe from Zest Plant-Based Food Consulting. Hello, Jennifer, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Katrina, for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, I'm looking forward to getting some information from you to share with vegan business owners, because you've got such an extensive range of experience, particularly within the plant-based foods arena. To start off with, tell me why you started up Zest.
Really, the mission is to create more and better plant-based choice and availability for consumers. I believe where there is availability and variety of great tasting products, or on menu items, on menus, consumers are more likely to be leaning towards plant-based diets more. And if everyone did that, it would have a huge impact on health and environmental issues that we have today and also in the future.
Absolutely. Now, one of the challenges a lot of particularly vegan food producers mention is that because they're so ethical, particularly if they're organic and fair trade, their products have to be more expensive. What advice could you give them to how they can deal with that challenge, and the challenge to stay competitive and attract customers?
Yeah, that's a really good question, actually. I would say that really keep telling your story. Keep marketing the good value that's in your products and your unique selling points. It's really to get across to your customers or consumers that they're receiving good value for their money. So yes, that's exactly that's the advice I would give for that.
Yeah,
and just keep working towards better buying power so that you can bring your prices down over time. That's what we see most products coming out. That's what we see happening anyway.
Are you talking about sort of collaborations as well to get so you can get those bulk buying discounts?
Yes, I mean just shopping around for different wholesalers, or yes, partnering up with others that might have shared storage space, or really just being savvy. Finding where you can reduce your overheads and reduce your costs. That's for any business, but particularly when you want to sell your product to as many people as possible, many demographics as possible. That would be a big motivator.
For sure. Now, the other challenge that I hear from plant-based food businesses is how to go about getting their products into retailers. So whether that's health food stores or specialty grocers or even the big supermarket chains, what advice can you offer?
I think it's definitely knowing your market, who you want to sell to. If you're growing a business organically, starting out a local market and then showing it might be the natural channels, like the health food stores, that is your next step, or it might be food service is your next step. If you're going from the health foods area to, if you want to get into supermarkets, I definitely recommend it's time to look at the branding, because getting branding for the mainstream can be different than if your target market is customers of health food stores or independent retailers. So buyers are really looking for products that stand out and that entertain customers after the initial honeymoon launch stage period where the product is new, and because the person's not there to, the product's sitting on a shelf, so the owner of the business is not there to keep selling the product. The branding really has to be bold and stand out. So, yeah.
That's really good advice. I'm so glad you said that, because, and I wouldn't have thought of that either, but you're absolutely right, because as business owners, we're the best people to sell our own products. But of course, like you say, when you're there amongst, particularly in a supermarket, competing against other brands on the shelf, that's really, a really good point to make. So, and particularly like you say about that after the honeymoon period as well. So
yeah, I went to a food show, last week, and it was kind of like that. It was kind of a sea of samey fonts, samey logos, and logos, with the leaf motif in them, and, green as far as the eye can see. But buyers weren't looking for those products. They were looking for the products that stood out with colour and original branding, because they know that those products will stand out on the shelf, continue to entertain the customers, and sell more. So while there's a temptation to kind of go down a predictable branding route if you're a plant-based product, food or otherwise, actually, and kind of get into that club of plant-based looking branding, but actually that will just blend in, and you really want to stand out.
As Dr. Zeus said,
yeah.
Why fit when you were born to stand out? That's really good advice. Now, what other than the branding then and the look of the product and the packaging, what other things do retailers and supermarkets look for when deciding to take on a new brand?
A couple more things. The taste of the product is top. It has to taste good. If it doesn't, if it's not acceptable or wow tasting, customers won't come back. And they also look at the business person themselves, how much stamina, how much drive, how much experience and skill does the entrepreneur have to continue to promote their products. And when I talk to business owners, I really say that marketing and promotion and branding actually all comes down to one thing, and that's keeping the customer entertained, because that's the consistent thing that you need to keep doing after you've launched your product.
Got it. So do they take into account, say, for example, a business's social media following or media coverage?
Yes, absolutely. They look for indicators that what is the business person bringing to their business? Are they going to bring new customers to their business as well as customers going to buy their products? And their marketing ability. How consistent is the marketing? Is it positive? Is it engaging? What's the personality like? and again, it comes back to the entertainment. Is it entertaining or is it boring? Is it is it dull, and is it colourless? Is it lifeless? Is it, banging on about the same thing all the time? So they absolutely look at those things, because they want to make sure that the space that they're offering on their shelves, or even in food service as well, does the business owner look after the brand well?
Yeah, fantastic. This is so helpful. Now, can a business owner themselves approach a retailer directly, or will retailers only negotiate, say, with brokers or distributors?
Oh, no. You can approach retailers directly, absolutely. The only thing is it could be your one chance with that particular retailer, and it could be that the retailer doesn't give you any feedback. So while they're nodding their head and going, yes, this is a lovely product, actually they're thinking, actually the brand is wrong, the taste isn't as we thought it would be, or we don't feel that the person is strong, or even looking into the person's personal social media. These buyers, they do their homework, but they're also not going to spend time giving. I wish they would sometimes, but I wish they're not going to spend the time to give lengthy feedback and educating the business owner, because they feel that the business owner should do that themselves, basically.
Got it.
So in that case, yes, you can get help to make that process a lot stronger.
Sure. So if you don't have experience, it's probably better to go through, say, a broker or through an agency such as yourself who can educate and help people through that process.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be expensive or lengthy. You're just buying very specialist information that you need at that one time, and it can just help you get through that next barrier to get your products out there.
For sure. Now, let's talk about some of the challenges involved in having products in retailers, because I know everyone kind of goes, oh yeah, we want to get our stuff in supermarkets, because we want to get it to the masses. Now, I know of one company here in Australia that's actually had some issues with the big supermarkets in terms of margins, for example, and being constantly squeezed. And another one in particular will often take on a brand, and if it does well, they'll then get rid of that actual brand and then bring out their own house version, which is cheaper and usually more inferior. I don't know if that's specific to Australia or if that's something that you can, that goes on elsewhere, and obviously you're based in the UK.
Yeah, it goes. That goes on everywhere, but not as much as you might think it does. It's unfortunate, and there's not much you can do to avoid that, other than than your story and your brand and your marketing ability is the thing that's going to set you apart. So I would just advise, if it's happened to somebody, just to keep doing what you're doing, to differentiate yourself. Over time, you'll recover. But yeah, that's not nice for it to happen to any business owner, but it's just part of business, unfortunately.
Sure.
Yeah. There's lots of retailers that don't do that, though. So.
Yeah. Cool. Now, for those who are aspiring to own a vegan-run business, what, in your opinion, are the key things they need to take into account before making the jump from employment to self-employed? Because I know you've done this yourself, and you help other people to do that. So, what tips would you give?
I would say, before you give up your day job, really try and create your business in a part-time way, or moonlight if you're employed, to really get a feel of what it's like. Try and get past the stage of launching something, actually, because after launch is where the really hard work starts, and that's when you need to be consistent and selling. And that's when you see whether your product's whether it's going to be sustainable financially for you. sometimes the most exciting parts are especially at the beginning, when you're, creating what your product's going to look like, and tone of voice, and hearing, your initial customer feedback. But actually, it's what comes after that, those first steps, and then the selling of your products. So yeah, I would say keep looking into it. Keep your day job until you know that you just have to continue on with doing your business. It's not for the faint-hearted, but it has more rewards. It can have more rewards than being employed. That's for sure. There's no cap on that, actually. So even further down the line, when you have other achievements, a year or 2 years into the business, and you're having those more harder won achievements, it's also very rewarding.
For sure. What are some of the key mistakes that you see, and particularly plant-based foods businesses make? I know you wrote an article for Vegan Business Media blog, and we'll put a link to that on the show notes page, around exhibiting. What are some of the other mistakes that you see plant-based food businesses make?
I would absolutely come back to the branding and the entertaining. I could make in 5 minutes. I could make you a logo, a brand with a leaf motif and a logo. Download a free font from the internet and select a shade of green for the colouring. But that's not going to entertain mainstream customers long term, unless you've also got a band or a television show attached to your brand. I think that's probably just the biggest mistake of getting past the launch period and then having your marketing in place so that it continues to sing about everything that is your brand. So I think that's probably one of them. The other mistake is, I guess, I'd say that not realizing how much that you need to sell yourself all the time, not just your product, but yourself too. So being the best that you can be, being ready to do a talk or a pitch, or opportunities can come out of the blue, and it helps if you're ready for them. Not everyone, no one's perfect, and people have opportunities come to them, and it's like, oh wow, I wish I had another day to prepare for that, and you just got to go in and do it. Just be ready for the opportunities.
Absolutely. I like that you said that. When I go to Business Owner's website and I go to the About page, and there's nothing about the people behind the brand, and I always really encourage them, we're curious as humans. We want to know who is the person, behind the brand as well. So I'm glad.
Exactly. And even we work with some companies that they've got several companies, and they actually don't want to be the face of the brand, but there's real personality lacking. And it's very, very one-dimensional, even in their social media.
That's right.
There needs to be something human for people to engage in, even if the product that they're selling isn't human. If it's food or another type of product, clothing or whatever it is.
Exactly.
So, it needs the human element.
For sure. Now, one of the things that can be a challenge for business owners is finances, and a lot of them want to jump on board and, attract investors. And I noticed one of the services that you offer is helping businesses to secure investment. How do you determine whether a business is ready to approach investors? What do you look for?
It depends what type of funds that they're looking for. And then it depends on the person, on the entrepreneur themselves. Some people want to get seed funding right from the get-go. Others want to prove their business model in some way first, and showing sales, showing some traction. So it really depends on what stage the company's at and the entrepreneur themselves. And then really it's about putting together a pitch deck or a business plan or even just a roadmap of what that business strategy is. But for the stage of business that they're at, it could be a 25-page business plan, and we've definitely done some of those where bigger money is being sought, but it's deadly serious that that entrepreneur has to be shown that they really know their market, they've really done the research. The appendix alone is probably 10 pages long. So yes, it really depends on what type of funds they're trying to get.
For sure. But in both instances, you would say that in your experience, investors will be looking for, if not a track record, but certainly something around the business person themselves, or like you say, a solid business plan and really knowing their market. Yeah,
really knowing their market, knowing their products. The product is executed well, tastes good and good branding. What plans have they got to market their products? Having said all that, it's still half of it. I really believe, especially in the early stage business, half of it comes down to what the person is like to be with. What kind of company are they? Not a company as in a business company, but what are they like to interact with on a personal basis? And then, yes, what skills do they have? What are their strengths as a person? How well can they sell in person their product? So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's interesting you say that because I interviewed Sebastiano Cosia Castiglione, who's an investor who invests multi-millions of dollars in vegan-run businesses. And he said one of the key things, obviously, having the strong business plan and all that, it kind of, is taken as read. He said, but the thing that will tip him over the edge to invest is the people behind it. It's interesting that you say that. Again, I suppose it comes out to what you said about standing out.
Yeah, they want to see the passion and the drive. Because you're asking, is this person driven? What are they driven by? Have they got the stamina? Are they persistent? Or are they going to give up in week 2? You really have to engage, and until you meet the person, it's difficult to invest in this business plan. But it's the whole presentation really, that you've got your theory and your research done, and that's down, and you've got your ideas on branding, or the branding's been done. But yes, at the end of the day, tasting the product, meeting the person is that's not replaceable.
Got it. Fantastic. Now, you've talked a lot about standing out, the importance of standing out, because obviously there's a lot more players in this arena now. As we talked about earlier, there's not only ethical vegan businesses, some of which have been around for a long time and some are new, but we've also got really big mainstream food players coming in and taking this seriously as a market. So in terms of standing out, it comes down to the entertainment value and the branding. Are there any other tips you can advise people in regards to how they can stand out, both within the vegan business arena and outside of it?
Yes, actually, there's one big tip that I would recommend to any even if it's not food, so food or other consumer product goods, or even food service, is to get some original content and really show your customers enjoying your product. Nothing sells better than seeing somebody else that you can relate to, experiencing the products in an enjoyable way. Nothing translates more than, the person doesn't even have to, the person that you're seeing on a video or a photo or audio doesn't have to say anything. They just need to make the noises of, wow, this product is good. So I really recommend to stand out, because that filming that content is going to be unique to your business. Whoever the person is trying your product, getting their reactions. Everyone's going to have different reactions, but facial expressions, and just the noises coming from the person is actually really important. And when you look at say, for example, cooking shows, there's always this moment where the expert tries the product and is judging the product, or the it could be the meal or something like that. And then there's that moment where, is it going to be, oh my God, this is disgusting, or wow, can't just words can't express how good this is. So getting that, capturing that moment, it could translate this to fashion too. Just capturing that moment where you see people that you want your customers to relate to, enjoying your products, is really important.
Yeah, that is such good advice, actually. That's really, really, really good advice, really strong advice. And it, like you say, it's very different to just having the product on its own where it's just static, to actually, because people, we buy on how we feel, how something makes us feel, like a brand makes us feel. I'd say you're right. If you can see our peers going, oh, yeah, this is lovely, we're like, yeah, we want to have that. So in terms of marketing, now, your own company is called Zest Plant-Based Foods. What's your take on, and everybody has, I asked this question to everyone and they all have very different responses. What's your take on the use of the word vegan versus, say, plant-based? Because, and some people say, oh yeah, it's cool to be vegan now, it's good to use it. And others, it's like, no, it's still a bit scary. What's your take in terms of what advice would you give food brands on this? And perhaps talk a little bit about your own choice of word for your own company as well.
Actually, to answer all of those questions, it really, again, comes down to the market that you're targeting. To me, so far, everybody understands plant-based, especially for, from age 35, even 40 upwards, those generations get the plant-based. They might have had earlier experiences of vegan products that they haven't had good memories of, or other prejudices. And so I find that to reach that market, people understand that more. However, I would say that the word vegan is being used so much more, which is great to see. And in some products, it's the right thing to do, to put it front and center. It's a cool thing. It's, immediately stands for everything that vegan means. So we use the word vegan a lot with clients in our social media. I'm a vegan, and I'm not afraid to use the word, that's for sure. But it's just to do with who your biggest marketing, who you're marketing yourself to, who's your market. I think that's the best thing. In the UK, there's a strategy of Free From, which started out as coming from allergy-free products, but really a lot more people buy Free From products because they've read or heard, or even just felt the benefits of, dairy-free or egg-free, and that strategy works for older consumers. They feel much more comfortable for some reason buying that. It doesn't. They don't seem to have any issues then. But then we see younger people getting vegan a lot more, and they are more into not just the health side and the environment side, but also the animal side too. So
exactly, yeah. No, that's good. That's a really good point, actually. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about your business. So you've, as we said in the introduction, you've got an inordinate amount of experience in the food and retail sector, and now you've started up your own marketing and consultancy business. So, what were some of your key challenges when you first started up Zest?
Well, I was a new vegan, and I didn't know anyone in the vegan community at all. So that was the first thing. And I kind of set out in the first year to try and meet as many people as I could, and understood how who was working in this sector already, and if I could collaborate with anybody, also just help anybody. I think that was just the first year strategy, and to understand what vegans like to see when they buy. Because I think if even bigger companies, to have the loyalty and trust from the vegan community, I think that's quite important. It might not be important to some, but I think for businesses starting out, you've got an audience there straight away that will love your products, and I think it was a good first year actually. It was good for me to see. It was eye-opening, and I met many people who call my friends today. So so that's been important to start off with, and also just then broader networking in the mainstream, networking with branding agencies and food retailers, and going to the food shows, even going to retail interior design shows. Just the whole year schedule of shows is pretty incredible here in the UK, but.
So what I'm hearing is you're doing a lot of research, which I think is really important for people to know, that you don't just kind of go, I've got an idea and jump straight into it, that it is important to really get to know who's doing what, who are the influences in your industry, and, to sort of, establish your profile, I guess. So what I'm hearing is you've done a lot of research. Then you
just start seeing opportunities, and you can collaborate with others. Having national press has been very important for us, and we wouldn't have been able to do that without collaborating with other people to get into the national press.
Excellent.
But then you're starting to develop exactly what it is, what services you're going to provide, what is needed. At first, I thought I was hoping to be working with lots of kind of global corporations, but when I started, they were still a bit behind the times then. But then, working with early stage businesses to start off with really taught me what services that I needed to provide, and then that's moved on to working with larger businesses now. Now that we've got some experience in what we're doing, so it's been really, really good.
Excellent. Now, what skills because for people, I'm thinking in terms of people who, who got a corporate job and they want to start their own business, perhaps, consulting in some way. What skills from your previous jobs and career have been useful in running your own business?
I would say working hard, expect to work long hours. If you're an employee of a bigger corporation, don't think that you're going to start your own business and sure, people say yes, you can work your own hours, but it really comes down to still working long hours. But you would have been working long hours in your probably in your in the large corporation to try and get ahead anyway. If you put the effort in and you're building your profile all the time, you're building your network all the time, you're putting the extra effort in to make sure things go right, making things happen, is very important, and getting over barriers. Those things from that background are really essential, and they're good to have developed. Yeah, if someone was going straight from high school, say, and wanting to make their own products, to me that sounds great, to see that entrepreneurial spirit. But I also do recommend still university, or getting some employment experience is still important, because you're going to use those skills in creating your own business.
Yeah, for sure. And just finally, if we talk a little bit about mindset, because a lot of people say running your own business, it's the biggest form of personal development, forces you out of your comfort zone. What qualities do you think are essential to being an entrepreneur, being a business owner?
Absolutely. Perseverance and persistence are the main ones, for sure. And having the stamina, keeping going. You could, you can have a week of bad news and a week of things going wrong, and you need to have that strength of character to pick yourself up and keep going and say, you know what, this is just part of business. It's let's look forward to what we can do right. Let's look forward to what we can make happen.
Yeah, it's about managing yourself, isn't it?
Let's look at our next sale. Let's look at our next innovation. Because bad news will be a thing of the past soon enough. So
yeah,
and
roller coaster.
There's also no shame in stopping what you're doing, closing down your business, and starting again. That can also, be very motivate. Because you're going to be learning from what you did, the mistakes that you made, and no business is created with no mistakes. That's for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Very true. And then just finally, Jen, final two questions. What have been your key lessons that you've learned through running your business? And I know you've been running Zest since 2014, but you also ran your own sandwich business. So what lessons have you gained and learned from running your own businesses?
If you're working with somebody else and you're wanting to create a serious business, if the partners or other people going to be involved in your business want it to be long term and are ambitious and want it to be a big business, get a shareholders agreement to start off with, even though that might be uncomfortable. But if people are uncomfortable with it, are they the right people to be going into business with? You have to ask yourself that question. Because you might find that some don't have the stamina to stay the course, and then you've got to figure out, what happens then in that partnership if they're not going to contribute any longer, and if they still want to get the rewards and not do the work. That's really important. Get a shareholders agreement.
Very good. What did you call it then? A what agreement?
Shareholders agreement.
A shareholders agreement.
Yes,
good. Okay.
Yes,
yeah.
Shareholders agreement. And I think also just to it can be easy to get cynical sometimes when if people are letting you down, like if suppliers let you down or whatever. But just to stay positive and keep going back to your core values.
Brilliant. That's very, very good advice. And then just finally, what's your long-term vision for Zest and for yourself?
Just to keep going. I really feel like I'm in my dream job, and I want to share the passion that I have for what I do with others. I want to work with similar-minded people and ambitious people, and get products, get consumer products or menu items available for consumers that are plant-based, so they've got the choice and there's the availability. It's going to make it much easier for them to at least start a plant-based diet.
Wonderful. I love that. And I'm just so pleased that we've got people in the world like you that are being so proactive in making this happen. You've shared such a lot of fantastic advice.
If I can give a plug actually, to, well, actually not only to yourself, because I think what you do is great, but also, David Benzacan from Plant-Based Solutions in New York.
Yeah.
He's doing something similar to me too. He's been great to work with. And also we just started working with, Theo Favetto from Veconomy in Switzerland, also doing something similar. So it's good. Don't feel alone, and all these guys supporting one another. So it's a good network. Good network.
That's what's really lovely, actually. About I was talking with, I interviewed Victoria Moran on one of the episodes, and she was saying that within the vegan community, vegan entrepreneurs, there is that spirit of generosity and collaboration because we've got this bigger vision that, you know, we do want to help each other out. So I think that's really lovely. So thank you so much for all your wonderful advice, Jen. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you, Katrina.
So that was Jennifer Pardoe of Zest Plant-Based Food Consulting. You can find out more at plantbasedfood.com. You can also read an article Jennifer wrote for the Vegan Business Media blog called Are You Damaging Your Vegan Brand by Making These Mistakes at Food Shows? You can find both those links on the show notes page at veganbusinessmedia.com/podcasts. Now for our Vegan Business News Roundup. A vegan cheese worthy of Chardonnay. That was the headline in a recent story on Bloomberg, a major mainstream business news website. The report features Lyrical Foods, a San Francisco Bay Area startup, and its new and improved vegan cheese that's made with equipment imported from France and then aged in caves. The company's Kite Hill range caught the attention of Whole Foods co-CEO John Mackey in 2012 and was on the shelves of over 400 Whole Foods locations across the US by 2014. So the challenge is on to create vegan cheeses that rival their dairy counterparts. Lyrical's co-founder Dr. Pat Brown, a medical doctor and Stanford biochemistry professor, acknowledged this, telling Bloomberg, "We have to match or exceed the sensory pleasure and value that cheese-loving consumers get from conventional animal-derived cheeses." That's so true. Vegan cheese has come a long way since I went vegan 20 years ago, and it's exciting to hear about these new developments to help the masses switch from dairy to plant-based alternatives. The growth of vegan dining was the cover story in the Good Food lift-out inside the Sydney Morning Herald in Australia this week. The comprehensive article featured an array of vegan eateries, including Gigi's Pizzeria, Soul Burger, Sadhana Kitchen, and more. I helped the journalist with the article and was quoted discussing the global cultural trend towards plant-based eating. Now, what was particularly promising about this piece is that it revealed that a number of non-vegan chefs and fine dining restaurant owners are getting more creative with their vegan offerings. Good Food Epicure, which is the lift-out featured in Melbourne's The Age newspaper, also got in on the vegan act by running a piece on the growth of vegan eateries in the area and noting that junk food was particularly popular. Now, while there's a lot to be said for keeping ourselves healthy, we've also got to overcome decades of negative vegan stereotypes, particularly involving food. You know, tofu is great, but it's not exactly exciting. So if we can persuade people that eating vegan is fun and that they can enjoy veganized versions of their favourite comfort food, then I say bring it on. And it's really good to see mainstream media helping us in our mission by reporting favourably like this. It's been a week for positive mainstream media coverage on vegan food. The Belfast Telegraph ran a lovely piece on Sarah McGreechin, who runs a mobile vegan deli, selling her wares at markets in Northern Ireland. Now she's about to open up a pop-up cafe in Portaferry. If that's successful, she's looking to open a permanent store in Belfast. Again, comfort food is on the menu, in particular to attract non-vegans to the idea of plant-based eating, with Sarah making vegan versions of her friends' favourite dishes. Sarah's a good example of someone starting their business small and testing the market. She told the Belfast Telegraph she launched the business with her savings of just £2,000. So you don't have to leap straight into renting expensive premises. You can try out your recipes and your products, adapt them after you've got feedback, perfect them, and only expand when you know the business is likely to be feasible. Finally, almond milk sales in the US are up, according to information and measurement company Nielsen. The milk substitute has seen sales growth of a whopping 250% over the past 5 years, even though during that same period the total milk market shrunk by more than $1 billion. And while almond milk still accounts for just a fraction of the total milk market, about 5% according to Nielsen, it brings in more than twice the revenue of the other substitutes combined. So this is excellent news. It's so good to see dairy alternatives starting to come into their own and grab market share. So that's it for this episode of Vegan Business Talk. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed the show, please consider giving it a review and a rating on iTunes or any other platform you're listening on. I'm Katrina Fox from veganbusinessmedia.com, and I look forward to catching up with you in the next episode. Bye for now.